This is Erigeron karvinskianus. Don't let the name scare you. Its common name is Santa Barbara daisy. And I'm going to show you how to shear it this morning. And this is something that you can do 3 to 4 times a year. Otherwise, you'll be sad about this plant if you don't shear it. Just kind of pull it up like a ponytail, like this. Go right in here, and you're going to leave about 2 to 3 inches of height. And I like using the hand pruners because I just get a better shape. But if you needed to, I suppose you could use a shears, especially if it's really big and out of control and you've never sheared it. You might even use an electric hedger. You'll know that this plant is ready to shear when you see a lot of these dead flowers right here. They're trying to go to seed, and you only have about 40% of the pretty flowers left. But if you allow this to just do it at once, it's just going to go, the whole thing will go to seed, and it'll look homely, and you'll be sad because it'll reseed everywhere and you'll think it's completely invasive plant. I'll show you again here. Pulling it up, taking a big bite, keeping your fingers out of the way. And this is good for the health of the plant too. Keeps insects down because you won't have a bunch of dead in your plant. Here's an extra tip. So we're going to cut one more, and then I'm going to show you how to make gardening easier on your back and easier cleanup. There's no reason to pick things up twice. And by the way, you don't need to shape this into a button shape. You can just go straight across. It's okay. Within a few weeks, this is going to be full of flowers again. You don't have to worry about it. But if your aesthetic is that you want a little button shape, go ahead and shape it that way. But here's the extra tip. Work with a tarp. Always work with a tarp. You just take your plant and toss it on your tarp. And then don't make your tarp too heavy. And then you just pick up all 4 sides and take it to your compost bin, and you're done. This plant is such a hardy little drought-tolerant plant called Teucrium chamaedrys, and it is great for a hedge. You can shear it every week if you want and not allow it to flower. That's what they do for knot gardens, Celtic knot gardens. You look out the castle and you see a Celtic symbol in the garden made out of plants. This is one of them that they use, and they shear it every week. These are the spent flowers. This flowered all the way up this stalk with these pretty little pinkish purple flowers, and the bees love this plant. So I let this plant go and go until it's pretty much flowered out. When I shear it, then it will come back and be lush like this in here. Within just a few weeks, it'll be all pretty and lush again and not have this straggliness. So I'm going to show you how to shear. This is a hedge in the demonstration garden. It's a low-growing hedge in front of my roses. So this is the one place I use an electric hedge trimmer, and I just buzz the whole thing. But you can do, if you have one plant or just a few plants, I could do this whole hedge this way with the pruners or with a shears. So just grab it up, you don't have to be shy, and cut right down. My intention is to prune it to a little, a high dome shape for my hedge, and you can cut right into, I'll show you, cutting into. See the bare stems? Not all plants will come back from cutting into bare stems like this. If you remember my rosemary video, rosemary won't come back if you cut into bare stems like this. But Teucrium does. So you can cut right into bare stems and it's going to come back and be beautiful. Just keep on going and have that tarp behind you so you can just throw this right on the tarp. It seems ruthless, but your plant is going to be so happy, and so are you, because it's going to look good all the time. Keep on going. And remember to keep your fingers out of the way. Keep your fingers kind of headed back, just like when you use a French knife in the kitchen, so that you don't cut your fingers. Always know where your fingers are. Okay, now I'm going to do the top. Now I could just go like this, but I want this to be really bushy and full, and the harder I prune this, the more bushy it's going to be. So go ahead and grab a hunk, keeping your fingers out of the way, and then use the whole jaw, not just the tips. You're trying to grab a whole mouthful. If this is a mouth, you're trying to grab a whole mouthful. Now when these are young, you'll be shearing them more often because you want them to keep growing bushier and bushier, and that's how you get that thick, bushy look. See here? I could leave this, but I don't want this. I want it to be really snug, kind of, it's like a shearing hair. It's exactly like shearing hair. So you pick up a hunk and you So if this was just one plant, you would just be picking up a hunk and giving it a shear and you'd be done. But this one, like I said, I'll probably be using the electric shearer just to get a nice straight across, and then I'll round the sides and I'll be done. So don't worry about this, the dead looking part. You will get new growth down here. I mean, some of it's absolutely dead because I hardly ever water this plant, and some of that you can just break off and pull out. By the time you're done, it'll look a little scary, but it'll come back, don't worry. And just get in the back, same thing. Big mouthfuls. Follow through with your cut. If it's a little hard to use, if you feel your hands aren't strong enough, you will get a better strength if you flip your pruners over. But just always keep your fingers out of the way. You want to use shears. It's going to take a little practice, but you get better at things when you practice, right? So you don't grab too much, because then the shears, they'll have a hard time and you'll be chewing through your plant. So just grab a little. And then you can flip them over to really go around. And then have your tarp handy so you can just throw everything on your tarp. Now when you have an older Teucrium like this, when you get into these thick parts, you'll probably have to pull out your pruner. So this is a pruner, and this is a shear. But just remember, you can flip these over for better artistry, getting the rounded. Hear how it doesn't really want to go through there? Now in that castle garden I was talking about, they're shearing every week or so. So they're just shearing up in this. See how easy that is to shear? But when you start getting older, thicker stems, it's a little harder for the shear. That's where if you have a long hedge of Teucrium chamaedrys, you're probably going to use an electric hedge trimmer. And by the way, do this work early in the morning before the bees are out, or in the evening after they're back in bed. Otherwise you'll be dealing with bees while you're trying to prune. This is oregano, and at this time of year, the bees have had their way with these flowers. Then the flowers are almost all spent. If you come up here, see how the flowers are mostly gone. So it's time to rejuvenate this plant by shearing all of these stems to the ground, or as close to the ground as you can. If you look over here, see when they're left, nothing happens, they just die out. So you want to clean it up as best you can, right to the ground. And I'm doing this at this time of year. It's getting towards the end of August in Zone 9 here in Sonoma County, because I'll talk while you watch how I prune them right to the ground. I grab a hunk, keep my fingers out of the way, and just go ahead and cut those out. But I want this all to come back like this right here by September, so it'll be looking really pretty. So grab a hunk and cut it using the back of the jaw again, not just the tips. Just get a big mouthful. Throw it on your chart back there. Another handful. And again, the bees love this plant. I think it's a nectar plant, not a pollen plant. So do this work early in the morning or in the evening. How this works to use shears. Don't grab too much at one time. So you can do this with shears also. But you want to get really close to the ground and then clean up not all, but as much as you can. Clean up the dead leaves so that the sunlight can penetrate and rejuvenate. All this will be lush and green in just a few weeks. I'm going to show you what not to do, what you might not want to do. If you just cut this like this, it's really not going to fill in these bare stems. It might look okay up here to you, but you're never going to get this nice bushy growth pushing from down here. What we're trying to do is rejuvenate what's called the basal growth, or this new growth at the base of the plant. And you'll see this, most oreganos will look spindly at the end of summer, and this will be the grooming for whichever type of oregano you have. You have a really great chance of it coming back really beautiful when you cut all of these back to the ground. And if you want to double check, just make sure, just look down in there and say, oh yeah, look, here's the new growth wanting to come from the ground. This is the basal growth. Always remember to ask yourself when pruning before you start, what's my intention? My intention here with this oregano is to clean it all up so that in a few weeks, this is going to be full of bushy green new growth. Kind of like, actually exactly like over here, if you'll pan over here, down in front of you. See all this? I cut this about a week ago, so look how it's filling in. I mean, that's going to be really nice. So my intention is to eliminate all this straggly stems and encourage this area to fill in with lush greenness in a couple of weeks. This is Lobelia, and I'm about 2 weeks or 3 weeks late in pruning this. See, all the brown is trying to go to seed, and it's looking punky. And this is about mid-August right now in Zone 9. You'll have to adjust for your own zone. But you can rejuvenate this plant, so by September, I should have a lovely flowering plant again. You do the same thing. You pull it up like a pigtail. And in this case, you're going to leave about 3 inches, like we did with the Erigeron, and shear this off. Done. Okay, so, and I would give it some all-purpose fertilizer too, so that it can get a good start on the next bunch of flowers. And in some areas, this plant will go dormant. Sometimes it goes dormant here in the winter and will come back in the spring, but usually I use these plants as annuals, so they just grow for 6 or 7 months and bloom, and then I take them out and put in other annuals. Remember too, when you're shearing plants, let's do one more example of this, Lobelia. Remember to be careful, especially if you're pruning plants like that oregano to the ground. Be careful that you don't cut your irrigation lines. See how close they are? So make sure you don't cut through there. It's not the end of the world though. You can fix it if you cut through there. So again, for this lobelia, cut it down to about 3 inches, 2-3 inches. It's got some nice green. And that's it. And remember to keep your fingers out of the way. So none of this. Don't grab it like this and then do this. Grabbing it like this and doing this. Here's before and after I've sheared, and my intention is that I'm trying to encourage a bunch of new flowers by September. So here's before, here's after, and see how they're just as cute. They're cute little buttons now, and then they'll grow in and they'll fill in with and then bloom nice new flowers. So the intention is to rejuvenate these so they give me nice new blue flowers without any dead flowers in there.